What a week it has been. Holy cow. And I know we keep coming through these weeks and months in this year of 2020, wondering when are we going to get off the amazing merry-go-round that we're on. But I don't know. I woke up early. It's not like I didn't start thinking about this, and even that I tried to make some notes coming toward this, and I was glad before I even got up out of the bed that I started with Carolyn Mace. And if you have not seen her offerings that we posted, oh my goodness, I say please do, please do. I'm going to watch them all again and take notes. The power of holy language, which at a level I know everyone on this particular call knows, but how can we use it more? How can we access it more? How can we make it more available and familiar to people that a holy language is completely strange? And I mean, I just really loved it. And I said to the young people out there in California, I said, I don't know. Maybe it's been because I've been, a student of Carolyn Mace for 20, 30 years, and I have 6 of her books. That makes me just really enjoy and be nourished, very nourished by what she is speaking to, the same world I'm living in, the world with a pandemic and a lot of things going on. And it made me think about coming to this particular lighthouse gathering in collection of the highs and lows of this week, and to sit in my own transparency and my own vulnerability. I don't know how many of you have yet gotten to share what Tracy and I refer to as the Mars retrograde invasion of Sangoma. And it jumped off on Monday evening, and it taught me. I'm going to just say that, regardless of whether you go and see it or not, it's still up there. It taught me, and it needed to teach me, and going through it meant that I definitely had to look at, wow, what really happens when a toxic poison enters your body. And what do you need to own in terms of having a place open that would even allow it to come in, and what is it that you can do change about having better boundaries or being more in touch with your own triggers. So when toxicity or unproductive, misdirected energies come into our being, that we know what to do with it. And by Wednesday, I knew that for me, it was one of those old places where you just have to get something off your chest. You know better than to try to hide it or stuff it down or ignore it or pretend that it doesn't exist, all those things. And you don't do that. And you say, okay, well, I might not like it because I don't, as a Cancer rising, I don't like being publicly very vulnerable or transparent. And yet I think in my growth as a priest and a person, the more roads of humility that I travel, the more I learn, and I get my anything left of my ego out of the way, and I surrender to that place where I am in the oneness of physician heal thyself, of knowing that something deep inside of me is hurting really, really, really bad. And I think, matter of fact, the morning that I recorded that, it was on Thursday, and it was coming up to that grandmother lodge, and that was the push me over the line part. And I said it to Tracy on the phone. I said, I've really come to the conclusion that, like it or not, I don't like doing live. I certainly don't like having to bring this to the table. But what I do understand is that if I don't, that I'm not going to be in a clean, pure, neutral place that I want to be to meet and sit with those grandmothers. And I'm not going to allow this to be in my presence, in my energy, going there or going to the Earth Dance this weekend or the Equinox or other places where I would speak. And because I had already stifled it down, pushed it down, it would just come up inadvertently in the wrong place. So I said all of that to say that, yeah, that was the kind of week that we had this week, where if we're learning anything in all these wisdom exchanges that we have, it is where our necessary vulnerability and transparency is exactly what the healer within ordered. It is exactly what you have to own up to do, because you can't give to another what you're not in possession of. And while that was hurting me, I wasn't in possession of any, not any, but not enough inner peace or light or humanity to open and receive all that amazing, amazing, amazing. That was so good, right, Katrina? Gosh, dang. Oh my gosh. I was just like, the whole time I wanted us to translate on land and be in some teepee where we could go on for hours and just sit with one another. And for those of you that missed it, and I did notice that we didn't record, so there was a couple of things I wanted to bring to the Web of Love today, and I was like, well, okay. So, and I like that. I mean, I like that. The not opening it all wide to public or live or any of that, but to say, no, this is sacred space, and if you want to be here, you will register ahead. And even though it's not a particular fee, just this is the way we're going to hold the sacredness of that container. And so I like it, but I definitely think everything that, as I'm sure you know, everything that went on there was just invaluable. And I could think of, you know, people off both hands just immediately that would have been so nourished by hearing it or being present or coming to it later. So I guess the most that we can do for that is to say that I believe it's you all's intention for that particular lodge to be held every new moon of each month. And that's where we are so far. And maybe we'll get to the new and the full, or maybe we'll get to a weekly, because, hey, 36 people later and trying to break it down, and there's a lot going on. There's going to be more going on between here and the election. And the calming, soothing, oh my gosh, wisdom of elder mothers who know a few things because they've seen a few things. And I continue to say that. It's not that any of us portend to be of any a great level of enlightenment. We simply know that likely where we have been, many are now traveling on those roads, and they might benefit well from the many stories that we have to tell, or kind of the way we see the glass half full now. And I was just really blessed by that from each of the grandmothers. That's what age will do for you. It'll definitely stop you or slow you down from seeing the glasses that are half empty, and all of a sudden you take a greater weight or a bigger view, or the eagle view, to see the glasses half full, if not full. So, I don't know, it's so many pieces in there, and I was trying to think, what is the tool that I wanted to offer to lighthouses? And I think it has, and not I think, I know, it has everything to do with what I've just been talking about, that maybe from, you know, she said a really big, powerful statement among many big, powerful statements, that religions are evaporating. I was like, whoa, yeah, you're right. I said it in another piece, and let me say that I can speak for. It was recorded. Is that right after I did that piece, or not right after, because I was crying by the end of it. But when I got myself together and turned the camera back on and went back on, I had to record the 40-minute piece I did for Earth Dance, and it aired yesterday at 6 p.m. And many of the times when that happens, I am so far up in spirit, I'm clueless as to what was said. I'm absolutely clueless. And so when I looked back at it with everyone else, because I actually just went to the site and watched it as it was being played out, like I'm sure my mouth was hanging open most of the time, because I said, whoa. So the name of it is Roadmaps for Bridge Building. And it's one of those places that we would have dived in, had that deep dive in the fall quarter of the Mystic School of Alchemy, and talks about all the reasons that if you have a certain idea where you're headed, it makes sense to have a map. How much of it is based on where you've already been? What are the signs or the signposts or the guiding things that will keep you from getting distracted or detoured or, knocked off the path completely? So I feel like today sharing with you, that is a really, really essential piece. And then when I listen to Carolyn Mace, I found more of it. I found more of, there is that place from the religions that have been evaporating, that we look at prayers as, poetic, maybe written down, maybe very personal. Maybe we don't speak them out loud. At the end of one of those sessions I watched, there was some good question and answers, and a woman asked her a question that who would think to ask that. They said, do you feel like your prayers are more effective when you say them out loud, or are they just as effective when you say them to yourself or think about them? And Carol was like, no, it don't make a difference at all. And sometimes it's necessary to say them out loud, or we just feel better saying them out loud. And sometimes the prayers are happening in the trend of our thoughts. But right here in this week, where certain bombs got dropped, certain unexpected energies came in, a saving grace, like the Grandmother Lodge came in. And so it was this real roller coaster of a week, which I expect is not new for a lot of people in our world at this time. And I thought, what makes us or gives us more of an ability to, at any time, be on that roller coaster and know what are the best ways to bring our soul, our mind, our spirit back into balance, back into neutral. I just said to the young people in California, like, when you're driving a stick shift and you move into neutral, because you have to change gears, or you have to slow down, or you have to speed up a little bit. Like that, like you make that decision. And I think humanity, as I see it right now, has been terribly plagued with just ripping all over neutral. I hear the spirit say, yeah, just, what is that, the clutch? Just stripping all the clutch. Because they don't stop in neutral, in their own quiet, still place, where the best of prayers happen, to do the math, which says that the thoughts we're having in here are like the seeds we plant and then we watch the flowers grow. The thoughts in here are the seeds of our prayers. And as they are moving all up and down our chakras and in our knowing and in our heart and our passion and what we feel, what is the water we water those seeds with? What is the way that we connect those thoughts with the joy and pain of our heart to bring them to a physical manifestation in our everyday reality? And whatever gets you there, as people say, whatever floats your boat. And for some people, they would say the word prayer, or they would say the word mind treatment. And after that long conversation that Carolyn had with us on the power of holy language, and she went through the question and answers, and the answers dropped right into how and when are our prayers most effective, she said, I think I'd like to close this with a prayer. And she went to her notes on the podium, which was really good, and I might start doing it, because I don't know how many of us were ever thought or taught that we could just write our prayers down. And I wasn't. And so, if I think back to the teaching of how to pray, or people I watched praying, both that I was moved by or not moved by, there's this, okay, everybody drop to a certain space, close your eyes, we're going to pray. And even though she was reading a prayer that she had written somewhere along the line, she did ask everyone to close their eyes and pray this prayer with her, hold this space with her. And it had real practical stuff in it, in those times that we pray for the sick and the dying, or we're praying for ourselves, or we're praying to have more courage or more light in our lighthouse. The facts on the floor are that, for me, at this age, I'll definitely say I didn't always believe this, but now my prayers to me aren't even activated until I know where that plus sign is, till I know where this is how I thought it, visioned it, this is how I'm speaking it, now writing it, and now this is the action in my everyday life of it. And that part right there is right tricky. And I think it's why people like myself work with the Healing Retreat weekends and these various programs and teachings. Because again, I think the religions that are evaporating said to us that unless we were in a church or hand in hand with those two or more that might agree, so that God is in the midst of us and all those parts, wouldn't see that you would make your morning prayers by feeding the birds and making sure there's bird seed, and going out and tending the living beauty of the flowers in your garden, and coming back in and addressing what the soul of the house needs today. And maybe that a bit of that does fall in housekeeping. Maybe a bit of it is in that you make a time to rest, so that the soul of the house or temple you live in can connect at the intersection of destiny with your rest and your dream time. Because there, regardless of who you think you could call, or what you think you could do, or what busyness will get your prayers done, the exquisite listening of what there is to do in the energy between your prayer and its manifestation, that's a much more delicate area. That and it came up with those young people, of course, born and raised as they were in the Burger King kind of reality, where you can just have it immediately and have it your way. Probably not. Probably not. And being a living miracle myself, I found that from the day that the doctor stood at the end of the bed and said, there's a really good chance you're never going to walk again, and if you do, it'll probably be with braces, to the day that I actually did walk again, that was on me. Just like we choose what foods we eat, or what company we keep, or as my grandmother would say, if our ears are just hanging around as garbage cans for other people to pour their trash in, it comes with responsibility. And I heard myself in that offering of roadmaps for bridge building, speaking to our processes of continuing to purify and purify and purify, because there are so many levels of poison and outward external toxicity that we are bombarded with every day. Best as we try to duck it and stay out of the way, energetically we were in it. And again, you cannot give out to others what you are not in possession of. So as we move through the heavy times and the dense times and the low places on the roller coasters, hoping to go back up and hit a high point again, we have to check and double check what are our daily rituals, what is our level of connection, is it sufficient? Or because of things that are up ahead of us and choices we have to make or decisions we have to make, we have to up the ante a little bit. We have to say, okay, this was maintaining me while I was in here, just me and my gardens and so forth and so on. And now, wow, probably maybe Vermont and New York in October, and wow, in the middle of a pandemic, probably I'm going to have to up the ante of making sure that, you know, what I'm putting in on the inside isn't just about repelling other people's fear. Let me say that again. Whatever we're putting in on the inside is not so much about repelling other people's fears, be it pandemic, racial, cultural race wars, the political climate, the earth climate. It wrestles with the imbalances that are in us, because we understand that as we tend the work in here of the inner attainment, and that's what I was basically saying to the Wild Darlings community. I'm not sending it or posting any videos at this point just for your entertainment. I have now moved to another level of inner attainment that people recognize. They recognize it. I listened carefully, as I know we all did, in the ascension of our beloved Ruth. And many people said that. Many people were in this very same point. They were trying to figure out how a little tiny, demure, delicate figure under 5 feet tall could be the giant in every room that she sat or stood in. So if I needed to give you a visual of, I would use that one, because it's up. We're right here in the celebration of her life and the time that God shared her beautiful soul with us and the difference that she made in the lives of many men, women, Democrats, Republicans, all of them. Because in that little soft-spoken, calm, demure voice was the weight of a truth of a giant. We're going to need a little more of that moving forward. Now that she's gone to the other side, we're going to have to look around the players that are left in the room and determine that we need a little more of that. And as I said to my elder brother on Wednesday, who did a good job in bringing me somewhat back in my body before I got in front of that camera on Thursday, and he, you know, is my age, and white dude, but gone to jail with with a lot of black people, and student of Olatunji is how he can play the amazing drums that he plays in the woods. You know, he came back and I guess tried to comfort me with, but look how far we've come. Look at where we were and how long it's taken to get where we are. And so, I don't know, the African soul in here that was like house on fire was like, yeah, I hear that. And maybe that's exactly my point to you. Because last time I checked, it was you and I in a circle of hundreds of people in the morning circles saying that we are the ones we've been waiting for, and that we are no longer looking outside ourselves for the leaders. That's what we said. And at the time we said it, we meant it. I still mean it. And so I'm not saying that we go any faster or slower or, yet, you know, this is not a judgment. This is not a question about my judgment. Okay, and then we have to answer the meeting password again. Well, let's see, 1, 4, 3. Oh my God, that's crazy. Let's see. Okay. I think I've turned my phone off.
So, Sangoma, it seems like you're logged in. So there we go. I think that should work.
All right, so now I come back to the original meeting I'm in. Let's see if it'll just come over here if you hit the Zoom button. Wow. Well, I don't know, Katrina.
So we can see and hear you, or you're not seeing us.
Oh, okay. Well, if you can see and hear me, and my computer doesn't show any of it to me, I'll just keep talking because it's...
I wonder if just the window might be minimized, maybe.
No, sweetie, I don't know how I did that. Let's look and see here. See, when I'm on the laptop, and so what should happen is I go back into Zoom, and Zoom just brings me right back to you, I say, as if I know. But let me hit the join button and see what happens. Now it asks me for a meeting ID, which I don't have right off the bat. I think the same thing is going to happen. I think if I fill this out and hit join, it's going to make 2 Zoom things be in this computer, which brings a big echo. Let me go into meetings and see what happens. My personal ID number, 397146928 Wow. Okay, I don't know that one either. Don't know that one either. No, I think I'll just keep talking and look at the screen of my computer because I don't want to lose the thought. It's much better to do that if you all can still see and hear me.
We can.
Okay. And so what was I talking about there, Katrina? Remind me. Because I got jumped out my spirit that way. Taught me to turn off my phone whenever I'm on these calls.
I got jumped out too. Give me a second and I'll pick it back up.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember now. You were talking about...
It was with my friend Bear.
Yeah,
and what he was telling, and I was saying back to him, no, I can't take how long it's taken us to get here as a good, like, okay, I feel better now, because I don't teach what I don't practice. I don't put out to another what I'm not walking in. It's just, I don't do that. and so I brought that front and center to him, and long story short, he was like, okay, that's why you've been my friend of 35 years, and you give me tons to think about, and I am going to think about it, him being a Scorpio and me being a Pisces, and I'll get back to you. So, yeah, it's that place in talking about what our tools are. You see, in that moment, I had to keep the truth in the room, and heartbreaking as it was, the issue that was spoken of in that video was my recognition of how deep and wide and far the blind spots of some white people is, that would think that their lives go on just the same right now. as it did before George Floyd or before January, and I had to be in the reckoning and the wrestling within myself of how am I going to deal with that? What is it that is of the level of integrity that I normally live my life by that's going to turn to those white friends that I have known for 20 or 30 years, fully in their blind spot, thinking, oh, gonna have a get together? All I need to do is put it out here when I'm good and damn ready. And is it last minute? And oh, have I not really dealt with any of the elder people of color, and so that they can deal with the younger people of color? Oh, I didn't even think about all of that. No, because that's why we're here. No, because you haven't thought about it now, and obviously didn't think about it for a good portion of your life, and those 8 minutes and 46 seconds just didn't move your world like that. You were able to move past that tragedy and the subsequent tragedies that are no longer making news in the communities of color, and think that basically the way you are as a white person continues to be sufficient to the rooms that include your so-called black friends or people of color, or gives support to all of your great conversations about diversity and equity committees. You know, watch it, you'll see. Because I was amazed. I look at my face through it, and I am able to watch it a number of times, because I think every time I watch it, I see a different auntie or a different grandmother, a different woman who raised me talking and saying some real serious stuff, and they mean it. And in the places that their heart is breaking, I cry. And I cry for maybe probably not even myself or the people I am speaking directly to. But as I said to them, I cry more for my generations following me, for the children, for the other eyes watching how we're doing this. And I think this is not good. It can't be that if the something inside of non-melanated people hasn't shifted and changed and is really ready to authentically show up at this table, then how do I, in my communities with my family and children and kindred, prop them up and invite them in because it's inclusive now? And no, this isn't where the token black person is in the room. People really want to talk and hear what you have to say. And I know that not to be the truth. And I don't have to be in judgment about that, because we're all doing the best we can, and we're all in different processes that are navigated and governed by our life experiences. So there are tons of reasons, but in going towards Saturday last night, or that Thursday afternoon after all that, and saying, so what are you going to talk about for roadmaps for bridge building? Seems like to us you're sitting on one side of this bridge, and some other folk you've known for a really long time. Not strange people, not people with red hats on and damn AR-15 or whatever kind of gun it is, but people you actually know and have camped out with and would call your friends. Those people are on the other side of the bridge. So what do you want to talk to people about in terms of road maps and bridge building and how you both get to the middle and the common ground? And so, yeah, so this week for me was really filled with how to do that and how to be in the best level of integrity and honesty in doing it. Not candy coating it, not selling any more wooden nickels about it, but hey, people, here's where we are, and we have to make some real decisions moving forward. Otherwise, there's not going to be a sufficient level of authenticity in the room to get where we think we're going. And so, Yeah, what did I find out? What were my takeaways? Good question. I am still sitting with it. I know that I watched, and I say again, those particular videos with Carolyn Mace. I watched Pam Gregory, whose report on the upcoming full moon in Aries in the midst of a Mars retrograde on its way to a Mercury retrograde. And I took all that in, like taking more information in the room, and I was invited to sit in a sweat lodge yesterday in Columbia, South Carolina, but because the death of my truck out there in the driveway was another part of this exciting week. I wasn't going, and we sent the daughter. We would say really up on the upside of her little dance with COVID. We sent her home on Friday. So here we were sitting, and I felt bad because I haven't gotten to be in an Inipi ceremony with that particular community, and it was a number of people of color, and I really wanted to do it. So I really wanted this particular brother to feel my connection there, even though I wasn't going to be physically present. So somewhere in the conversations of whether or not he'd help me rent a car and how could I come and so forth and so on, he said to me, like an ancestral speaking through his body, when at whatever point I was probably telling him about the week and how I got to this recognition of a bridge that I myself was having to figure out the steps to get to the middle across. And the voice through him said, don't forget the water. Again, Katrina, I'm telling you, this thing with water, boo. And that's what he said. He said, don't forget the water. Now, you know, in order, before anybody can step onto the bridge toward each other, toward the compromise or the middle ground, like somebody's going to have to pour water over the bridge. And I immediately actually thought of you, Katrina, pouring our prayers every Sunday into that body of water and how we feel like it ripples out. So I do know somewhere along the upcoming journey, I'll probably open a Zoom ritual ceremony. Maybe it'll be a full moon ceremony coming up on the 1st of October. That sounds right. And where we have water. That, like we do here in Web of Love, we speak all of our prayers into it. And I don't know. My given is that I know I don't have a stream outside of this house. My given, I don't know who's going to be on the call, but my given is to for us to have the vessel of water, that we did all that together under the full moon, to take the vessel out and allow Grandmother Moon to charge it and bless it through the night, and then in the morning know how we want to pour libation or water a particular plant or a garden, or put it to the side of our fire pit to encircle the fires on our earth and the fires that we're trying to put out in our bodies so that our tempers don't erupt and so that our triggers aren't so edgy. But when he said it, I heard it and I absolutely resonated with it. Like right back to the beginning of most rituals and ceremonies and classes that I do with people, which I do 9 times out of 10 open with water. And I ask people present, what do they know about why I choose to open the gateway or the portal with water? And it's largely because that was our way in. Every single one of us here got in because mother's waters broke, and or eventually through a C-section, the baby came out of the waters in the mama's body. And so everything begins with water, like christenings and baptisms and anointings and on and on. It just does. So, yeah, I'm going to echo as we're wrapping this one up. I'm going to echo if there was a common theme through this amazing supernatural week that we have come through, it would be closer relationship to the elementals, and in particular, check in to your relationship with water, how you have been in relationship to it, using it, understanding it, praying with the larger bodies of water, the waters holding the 5 storms and or hurricanes in the Gulf, the waters needed to extinguish each and every wildfire burning in our country, the water needed to pour on those people that are now very hot and angry and frustrated, and they've been pent up in a pandemic for more than 6 months. And now the question is no longer, are you being lied to? Yes, that fact is sitting on the table. To what degree you are been lied to, and how long have you been lied to? And even the people that you thought were real, upright, and integrity, yeah, no, they lied to. And that is a serious level of fire and anger inside of our bodies. The best of lighthouses could feel that kind of fire and know that they could extinguish it, or it is extinguished inside of the body of their grief, or the belly of their grief, or the tears that we shed, hoping that we are a part of the change that we know we are in need of, that we are doing all we can to embody that change. Yeah. And some of the things, okay, great. I found the page at the end. 10 minutes to JWoww. Of where we wanted to start. So that just must be the way that they wanted it to end or wrap up. And we did start with the Queen's Log, star date 9/20/2020. And all those numbers add up to a 7. Very spiritual, holy, just an awesome vibration. 7 chakras of the body, 7 days of the week, 7 planets, 7 deadly sins, 7, sacred sacraments, and on and on and on. 7 is the vibration we're working through for the rest of today. So here's some of the questions, and maybe just some of the notes that I wanted to share with you. As my reason for directing you, even now again, as I leave the space to say, why do I want you to watch Carol and Mason? I want you to watch it from beginning to end this week, particularly because it dealt with questions like, what do we long to believe today? Or better stated, or differently stated, what part of the beliefs or the belief systems handed to us, given to us, indoctrinated in us by the religions that are evaporating, do we want to keep, sustain, and pass down to future generations? So that asked us, and it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do, no matter how much you think you really know about what you think you believe. At any different season or point in time, certain beliefs shift. Trust that. To lose your scattered mind and allow your mystical mind to wake up. Well, it wasn't more than once or twice this week that I did say doing the same thing, expecting different results, is in fact a certain level of insanity. And on that particular video, I did say, I'm clear. Some of the things you get clear about when you have lived 6+ decades is, no, I'm good. I don't need to spend a minute, a second, a breath, nothing over in a place of doing the same thing I've been doing, thinking I'm going to get a different result. I'm not that one. And so the idea that by avoiding that craziness, that you move a lot of unproductive thoughts, again, misdirected energy out of the way, out of the system, in order to welcome the mystical mind, the place of all possibilities. And I did say that to the kids in California, that, you know, the reason I don't take in on any deep level a lot of negative talk is because I'm too filled up with the possibilities. I'm the girl from the wheelchair that they said wouldn't walk again, so you can't sell me a wooden nickel, because I'll put it out there that I have seen a number of things happen that have no scientific explanation. And that's kind of the bottom end of the roadmaps for bridge building that I enjoyed so much when I got to the last section of signs and wonders and how we define wonders. I define wonder like that. The things that I experience or happen or I give witness to that have no explanation. There's just nothing you could say about it. It happened. You were a part of it. And that's probably the most you could say about it. Maybe at some later date, reflecting back, hindsight will become 2020 and you could say more than that. But in the moment, man, it's just true. It's just not what you want to do. Okay, what's another really good piece that we got out of there? Oh, we are the engines of creation. So, you know, in the simplest form, right there, you don't turn the key, the engine of the car doesn't come on. Do we have the wrong key? Do we have somebody else's car keys? Do we have our own keys? Gas in the car? You know what I mean? To just sit present with the engine over here and the engines of people we are in alliances with or allyship with. And yeah, that once we all really know that we have turned on our engines of the co-creation, of creativity, so we can move ourselves forward to a better place than where we were sitting still. You know, we have a proverb like that. I love this proverb, and I hope I get it right. But my earlosh, my godmother, reminds me of it all the time. I guess when I get like, should I do this? Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's working. And so whatever that is, in those places where we get doubtful, say that, or discouraged, she'll say, well, you know, you can always pray to your destiny that if there is any place more suitable, more valuable, more timely, or more productive, or more abundant, where I should be, let my feet not fail to take me there. And it's a really good proverb. I love to remember it when I think I'm not sure which way to go. You know, and in that same piece, I think it's real related in there. I'll know when I listen again and make better notes. What is our need to create and appreciating our need to survive? And where do those two things intersect? And, you know, where are they parallel? Where are they perpendicular? How do the puzzle pieces fit in with the company we're keeping right here? Headed into the fall gate of 2020. And she put a good question out there. Since when do humans have such a great fear of commitment? And I think she was speaking in any category, from divorce rates to people starting a lot of things they have no ability to finish, and not even a little bit, and saying, you know, are we not explaining well to our young people, to our children coming up behind us, that when you start something, you should have every intention to finish it? And if you find yourself that you are a person that starts many things that are sitting around for years, months, and years in your life unfinished, then you should probably conclude that there should be a deeper and greater conversation at the start point before you even get midway in to like kick it to the curb and decide that, oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll come back to it. This is not that season either. It's definitely not. Yep, religion is evaporating, evaporating. And what is the mystical language emerging as the religions or the demands or, oh, there's some real condemnation. There's some real words back up there in that religion thing that hurt a lot of people. Hurt a lot of people. Something that, oh, I'll tell you what I watched recently that hit right on this. It was Queer Eye. I was in a meeting on the production team. As you know, we're in the movie Wild Darlings, A Song for Freedom. And so we were talking about other collaborations and other works that are up and moving and thriving, particularly in the LGBTQ community. And this title came up. And I thought, well, I didn't even know that there was any other popular series out there. Of course, I'm not a TV watcher at all. I watch movies, you know, and I just put the movie in, and then I don't have to do the commercials and the other things that go together with TV. And so I turned it on, and it turned out to be The Fabulous Five, which if you haven't seen it, I certainly would recommend it, because it's kind of like those house fixer-up shows where you have someone come into your life and kind of navigate around, like what would improve this area right here, but at the same time, you're seeing 1,000 things. You're seeing how people not from that community are dealing with the fabulousness of these particular five humans, and what they offer, what gifts that they are able to offer to those that have lost their way, or those that just need a little help or support in getting to that next level where they're trying to go. So, yeah, if there was something I was going to say on mystical language and where it's emerging, who knew? Queer Eye. And I just couldn't even remember, because again, I'm not a TV worker, so I don't know if that was Netflix or Hulu or where it was, but it definitely demonstrated that. It demonstrated the places where our old languages and religions have failed us and broken down the very vital open lines of communication that we need to have with one another, and how to really step away from that and allow that to evaporate in order for the more mystical and genuine and authentic and sincere conversations to emerge. Here's a piece, and this is just the tip of an iceberg right here. I'm going to be sitting with this probably to the middle of the week or beyond. When the soul does not have ritual, the soul goes into crisis. Now, that triggered so many things in me, I cannot tell you. But the idea of Malidoma Somé and Carl Jung and Mr. Mead, I don't want to say Michael Mead, and various people that I have been fortunate enough for other people to turn my eyesight in the direction of and go, oh, do you want to know the formula between the ritual out here, the lighting of the candle, and whatever it is you're doing, and the intent in here, and where those things to come together, and how they nourish the psyche, and how they heal the wounded places in us? And I did read and take in a lot of that information. So when a statement like this comes along that says, when the soul does not have ritual, the soul very easily can go into crisis. And I think that's some information that a lot of people can use moving forward, you know. But all week long, when I move to the edge of what truth is needed here, I back up and go like Jack Nicholson. We're not sure they can handle that level of truth yet. And it does put me on pause, back in neutral, and that's okay, because to everything there's a season. So here's the final piece of medicine that I have for the lighthouses this week before I turn it over to JWoww. And it is clarity of mind and soul will change how we live our lives. Let me say that again. Clarity of mind, that intellect, soul, ancestral, genetic, the Akashic records, all that's in there that'll be absent when we drop our physical robes. That thing. They will change together in clarity and focus. They will change how we live our life. And even though sun's pretty good and it's really not a cool fall day here, but I'm still sitting in my house in this wonderful sweatshirt that says changing the world by changing me, kind of tapping into the energy of my brother Jonathan Santos. Great song, great album if you haven't heard it. And that's what we got for this week. That's what we got, my lighthouses, is that like California or the West or the dark skies, because believe me, when this sun came out today, the first thing that I thought in my mind, because I saw it behind all of the clouds yesterday and the days before that in this week, it was just straight out either raining, cloudy, dark, doomy looking, and no sign of the sun anywhere. And I thought about the larger world, our humanity coming into a clarity, and some of those fires being taken down and the level of smoke dissipating. And I thought, okay, this is a good weekend, the lighthouse little part of Summit that says there will come dark times when that maybe overpower or overwhelm the amount of light shining at any given time from our lighthouse. The seasons come and go and things change, and summer's no better than winter and winter no better than summer. So that goes to say that hold strong to the light in here. Okay? Just hold strong knowing that whether it's gloomy, rainy, storming outside, dark, or whatever, as long as you can feel and are in direct connection to the light inside of you, it will remain the beacon it is. And others, the lost ships that are in need, will see it. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't see you guys at the end, and if I'm really lucky, I'll back out of this thing and shut it off, and then try to come back in and see if I can catch a piece of JWoww. But as always, as every Sunday, it was good to be here. I looked forward to it all week because it seems to be an amazing landing spot after whatever occurs in the week. It just seems like a place of sanctuary that we can come back to, and I do recommend it to everyone. And I'm going to speak even louder about people trying to get it in early for next month's Dark Moon with the grandmothers, because that was just really, really, really special. And I thank you, Katrina, for inviting me into that. So, peace.